here is someone who is just as mad about Afghanistan as I am about Bernanke. That's Michael Moore. And he was on with Larry King on CNN, and he was not having Obama's speech on Afghanistan and his new policy. To quote an old friend, let's go to Ed Reed again as to what Michael Moore thinks about the surge in Afghanistan.
Hell no!
All right, now you're going to get that sense right here. Let's go.
The president didn't listen to you, Michael. You wanted to withdraw. He did not take your advice. What do you think the result will be?
I feel very bad for him. I feel even worse for our troops, and I feel a real sadness for the parents of those soldiers of ours over the next 18 months who will not come back home. And I think many will ask, for what reason did they die? Not to stop Al-Qaeda, Larry, because there is no Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. Our own CIA says there's less than 100 Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. What are we doing in Afghanistan? This is absolutely insane. When President Obama tonight says that we were attacked from Afghanistan, I don't think so. I think that 15 of the 19 hijackers, terrorists, killers of 9/11, they were from Saudi Arabia. In fact, there wasn't one Afghanistan citizen amongst them. The only thing Afghanistan had to do with, they had some monkey bars in the desert that these guys trained on. I don't know. I've seen the video. But for that, I mean, it's just absolutely insane. Larry, we have been in this war for twice as long now as the U.S. was in World War II. Twice as long as World War II. We defeated Hitler and Tojo and Mussolini in half the time it's taken us to find Osama bin Laden. Now, if he'd come on TV tonight and said we were going in there to, with special forces to try and capture the killers, that's a good idea. But that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about now we're going to have 100,000 troops there to find these killers who aren't even there. Absolutely insane.
I mean, look, he makes a great point. I know it's similar to the points that I'm making, but I love this passion on it. He's like, look, let me get this right. We're sending out 100,000 guys to kill less than 100 Al-Qaeda guys in Afghanistan. It's absolutely insane. That can't be the reason. And he says, look, it's not like he's a softie. He's like, use special forces to kill him. Let's be smarter. That's what I say. Look, it worked in Somalia. We landed, we killed the guys, one of their top leaders in that region of Africa, and in fact, we grabbed a couple of them. Then they yell out, why are you grabbing me? We grabbed him and we brought him, and we're interrogating him now. It worked. Special forces work. So why do we have all these guys on the ground? Look, the only answer I got is that it's not about Afghanistan, that he's using those troops to pressure Pakistan. And maybe the implication is, hey, Pakistan, if you don't go get these guys that are in, Waziristan, which is in northern Pakistan, that we'll do. Now, if that's the case, well, then it's a little more defensible. But I don't, maybe they're doing it behind the scenes, but they're certainly not doing it out in the open. And what they're doing out in the open doesn't make any sense. The guy who's going to explain it a little better now, let's go to Feingold. Senator Feingold is on with Wolf Blitzer on CNN. Let's go to clip number 5 here, and he's going to go into that same exact point here.
Let's talk a little bit why you oppose what the president is doing. What's wrong with his logic?
Well, it just doesn't add up for me. The president says we're doing this, we're adding 35,000 troops to finish the job. And I ask the question, what job? Because the president has been so eloquent in pointing out that our issue is fighting Al-Qaeda. The argument falls apart when you realize that Al-Qaeda does not have its headquarters in Afghanistan anymore. It is headquartered in Pakistan. It is active in Somalia, in Yemen, North Africa, affiliates of it in Southeast Asia. Why does it make sense to have a huge ground presence in Afghanistan to deal with a small Al-Qaeda contingent when we don't do that in so many other countries where we're actually having some success without invading the country and attacking those that are part of Al-Qaeda? It doesn't make sense.
Here's how the president responds to that. I'll play this clip from his speech last night.
We must deny Al-Qaeda a safe haven. We must reverse the Taliban's momentum and deny it the ability to overthrow the government.
I guess the main point he's trying to make is if if the U.S. were to lose, let's say, in Afghanistan, just walk away, all those al-Qaeda operatives who have crossed the border into Pakistan would simply go back to a pre-9/11 situation that the Taliban would control and give them that safe haven in Afghanistan?
That's an incredibly unlikely scenario in my view, that al-Qaeda would find that to be the ideal place to return to. The notion that the Taliban would automatically welcome them with open arms is questionable, in light of the fact that in the first place they came into Afghanistan with the Taliban's blessing because they had a lot of money to pass around. Now they're hiding in caves in Pakistan, and I'm wondering why the president thinks he shouldn't have ground forces and troops in all countries all over the world that are not only potential, but current safe havens for al-Qaeda. Why aren't we doing that approach of a huge land presence in those places, as in Northern Africa, in Yemen, in Somalia? It doesn't make sense. Why this one place where it's not the place that al-Qaeda actually is headquartered in?
All right, so look, there's something I slightly disagree with Feingold on when he says that he doesn't think that al-Qaeda will necessarily go back into Afghanistan if we leave. I think they, given the pressure they're getting from the Pakistani army at this point, they probably, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them probably would, right? Now, whether the Taliban would re-accept them is a different issue. I agree with Feingold there. But the thing is, his other point is overwhelming. He says, look, they already have safe haven in a place like Somalia, for example. And then they have very strong, branches in Yemen, Southeast Asia, and all over the world. But Somalia is the best example. So since they have some safe haven there, we had two choices. We could have done the special forces attack, which is what we did, or we could have invaded and occupied Somalia. Now, of those two choices, what makes more sense? No one in their right mind would say invading and occupying Somalia makes more sense. Obviously, our targeted special forces operation against al-Qaeda leadership was a much better idea. So why couldn't, even if, in the worst case scenario, some of al-Qaeda leaks back into Afghanistan, if we leave in a couple of years, why couldn't we do special forces strikes and drone strikes against those guys anyway? If President Obama is saying, we absolutely need 100,000 boots on the ground in Afghanistan to go after 100 al-Qaeda guys. Well, don't we need 100,000 boots on the ground in Somalia to go after the 100 al-Qaeda guys over there? Or maybe even more? Or how about Pakistan? Or how about all these countries? Obviously, he doesn't think that that's the right approach for all those other places. I think the reason he's still in Afghanistan is because we were in Afghanistan in the first place. Otherwise, there's no real distinction between Somalia and Afghanistan. And as Michael Moore points out, the people who attacked us weren't, quote-unquote, from there. They're mainly Saudi Arabian. Some Egyptian. 15 out of the 19 hijackers were Saudi Arabian. They just happened to be in Afghanistan for that period of time. Now they're in Pakistan. By that logic, you cannot deny that what we really need is boots on the ground in Pakistan. And we're not willing to do that. So why are we sending them to Afghanistan? You come back to that question every time because there is no good answer for that. And unfortunately, President Obama's speech did not provide one either.